Morning literature, welcome to lesson 2. So today we're going to go through a lesson on justice and order. So let's get stuck into it. Here's a lesson for today. So justice and order and the thematic dichotomies. First things first, watch the Schooling Online video and complete these questions here. We'll have a chat about this in today's video session as well. Moving on though, so the key idea in the play is this idea of justice and whether justice is served. Are the gods just? Does everything happen for a reason? Is fate fair? And he's kind of, Shakespeare's asking this sort of humanism ideas where we're shifting away from a religious reliance and belief into a concept that's more about the individual and the individual's power and their influence in the world. So at the end of the play, Aberdeen confronts the bloody reality of the death and suffering caused by Lear's division in the kingdom. And he declares, he has this quote here.
All friends shall taste the wages of their virtues, and all foes the cup of their deservings. Oh, see.
And my poor fool is hanged.
He says, all friends shall taste the wages of their virtue, and all foes the cup of their deservings. So the idea here being that all friends will receive the riches that they're due, and everyone who's our enemy will get what they deserve. So it's an interesting concept, but isn't that simple in the play? So there's a few ideas here. One, Edmund's been killed by the brother he wronged. These are all things that happen by the end of the play. Wicked Goneril and Regan are dead. Innocent Cordelia has died cruelly. Gloucester had endured blinding and mental suffering. Lear loses everything and must endure the agony of knowing it was a result of his actions. And he says, I am bound upon a wheel of fire. So there's a lot that happens to these characters. A lot of grief, a lot of anguish, a lot of death. So what do you think about whether justice is served for these characters? Do the friends taste the wages of their virtue and the foes have the cup of their deservings? Or is it not quite that simple? So have a go at that activity there. Through the play, we kind of see that it sets up this idea of justice and order, and whether that's determined by the gods and humans, or whether it's a bit of both. So there's this idea of godly justice, and you want to have to remember that attitudes towards the gods vary. Sometimes they are seen as kind and mighty, other times arbitrary, indifferent, and cruel. So sometimes they're just seen as fair, and other times spiteful and unjust. So the gods here aren't this ambivalent force that has, they're not omnipotent and know everything and are fair and just all the time. They can be seen as having humanistic characteristics. In that they might be spiteful, they might be unjust and unfair in life and society. So we can see this in the play. Lear swears by pagan gods such as Hecate, Apollo, and Jupiter. So the goddess of witchcraft, the god of light, and the god of the skies. Interestingly, the storm, we see that one there. So Gloucester thinks them cruel. Lear begs for them. Regan appeals to blessed gods when Lear turns his anger on her. Lear begs for help from the heavens. If you do love old men, send down and take my part. Gloucester thinks them cruel. He says they see us as their sport, but then changes his opinion to you ever gentle gods. Cordelia sees them as benevolent or kind gods, and Edgar acknowledges a divine justice that watches over and judges all human actions. The gods are just, and of our pleasant vices make instruments to plague us. So kind of interfering in our lives. So this idea of godly justice, where we see reflected in the play and the beliefs that in the gods. Remember, it's during pagan times that this play is set. So it's this idea that there's a wide range of gods. We also have human justice, so explored through a series of trials in which one person judges another. So we have the love trial, where Lear judges his daughters and dishes out his version of justice and what he sees fit, what he thinks justice is. Cornwall's trial of Kent, his bluntness is punished by a knight in the stocks. So when Kent gets sent to the stocks. Cornwall and Regan's trial of Gloucester. So Gloucester is not permitted any representation or defence. He pleads and they don't listen. And they carry out the justice that they see fit. They say that we have ultimate power, we know what's right. They carry out that justice. The trial by battle, Edgar challenges Edmund to trial by combat on the charge of treason. So again, this human justice where the best warrior will win. But the undertones of that is there's a belief in trial by battle, or trial by combat as we've called in the past as well. There's this belief that the gods would protect the person who is just, and in this case, that being Edgar, winning that fight. So I want to try and find the gods. So open up the document. Up here we have the complete PDF version, so open that up and jump into it and search. Use Control F to search for the word God, which will hopefully find any pluralizations of that too. And note down 3 moments the gods are spoken of, and the BVAs are the characters calling to them. So what do the characters believe in this moment about the gods? Are they just gods? Are they unfair gods? Are they vengeful? So what are they saying about the gods there? Now the play sort of has this warning undercurrent as well, and the fact that like you need to leave it to the gods, and when humans take justice into their own hands, there's no guarantee that it's going to be fair, proper, or right. There is this element of a natural justice too, though, where it's like the world and fates align, relating in different outcomes, where we can see the hand of God tweaking and changing things. So that belief might be. So Cornwall's death at the hands of a servant who is morally opposed to Cornwall's barbaric actions. The fact that that servant's there and kills Cornwall is a bit of a fate, divine intervention. The actions of Edgar and another loyal servant in helping the blinded Gloucester. Again, there's a natural idea of these people helping and being in that situation to help. And Oswald is killed when he attempts to murder Gloucester, also in his way to deliver an immoral message. So that idea that he wrong place, wrong time, from his perspective, and we see that the gods there have that natural justice where things happen to bad people and justice is served. And the last little bit of activities is over here for today. So we've had a fair bit of paragraph practice in writing the paragraphs. For this activity, I want you to have a go at planning out an entire essay. So I want you to create a thesis for the following question. What message about justice is communicated through the play? So again, think about the angle. What is it that you want to say about justice? What is it that Shakespeare is telling his audience about justice? How would they react to this belief? Like, what do you think all those events and concepts, the justice we see, the relation to the gods, what is Shakespeare saying? Choose a few quotes that you could use about justice, and plan an essay around your thesis using the format below. So the format's going to be this. We're going to have a thesis statement at the top, and then a topic sentence for body paragraph 1. So what is your first thing you're going to explore? Some pieces of evidence, so moments or quotes, and analysis. What's the key points that you're going to take out? What's the aesthetic features and stylistic devices that you're going to rely on? There's an example over on the right-hand side here. So my thesis: throughout King Lear, Shakespeare reveals that when humans exercise justice, there is no guarantee that it will be fair, proper, or right. So we can see I've made the connections there with the question. I'm looking at Shakespeare and King Lear, obviously, and the idea of justice. But I'm looking at the concept that when humans exercise justice, we don't know whether it's going to be fair, proper, or right. You can modify that thesis if you like and take that one if you're struggling to come up with a unique perspective. But there's an idea on justice that's communicated. And then I have my first body paragraph. So my topic sentence: King Lear and Cordelia exemplify the influence characters have when taking justice into their own hands. So you notice that links with this idea of humans exercising justice. My pieces of evidence is King Lear's egotism and Cordelia's sincere affection. Two kind of concepts that I think relate to this idea of justice. Like King Lear, being egotistical, he believes that his justice is right and he will make the right decisions and exercise justice in a way that is fair, but there's no guarantee that is the case. And we see that in my analysis in the juxtaposition. So the juxtaposition of Lear's egotistical indifference and Cordelia's sincere affection reveals how human frailty, in this case the self-importance of Lear, how important he thinks of himself, leads to unjust decision making and tragedy. So that's my kind of first body paragraph where I've just mapped out a few ideas. From that, I might look at the idea of Goneril, Regan, and Cornwall and how they exercise justice. And that's not fair, proper, or right. What happens to Gloucester? Like, I don't think the punishment fits the crime for him. And my third body paragraph, I might look at the concept of Edmund, where he takes justice into his own hands and what happens as a result of that. So have a go at mapping out 3 body paragraphs on a unique perspective about justice. What is he saying about justice? See if you can link it to particular characters, and all that sort of stuff. So that is the lesson for today. We're going through, a fair bit of stuff on justice here, looking at a few different concepts, and really diving in. That wraps up the lesson. So make sure you send that work through to me by Friday, and then we'll explore some of the answers next week in our video chats. Hope you're staying safe, guys, and I will talk to you soon.